Hello class, thank you very much for hearing me out today. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the history of hockey masks and hockey helmets used in the NHL from throughout the years. It's a really important thing that players now use every day. It used to be back in the day they didn't wear anything, just like kind of like the leather heads that early football players used. But there's a little bit of a difference between hockey and football. For instance, hockey hits can be 17% harder than NFL hits, believe it or not. That's because these guys are gliding on ice, on razor blades, still hitting with the same ferocity as a football tackle, but they're doing it for a long period of time before they go on breaks. Football, they get to have timeouts, and they get to get into their huddle more often than hockey players do. So what I'm going to tell you about today is a little bit about how severe and how dangerous this sport is, and the reason why that players have over the years decided that they need to stand up for themselves and they need to start protecting their helmets, their heads. The other thing is the history of who the first people were, the first brave people who decided to take that on and cut out the status quo and the norms of what people expected them to wear. Fans didn't like it at the very beginning. They actually thought they were pretty cowardice for putting on helmets and putting on face masks to protect themselves from a 6-ounce galvanized rubber puck flying at them at 100 miles per hour. Go figure. The last thing I want to tell you about is it's not all just protection. It's a little bit of flair. It's a little bit of fun. These players, they get to, especially the goalies. I love goalie masks. Goalie masks, they get to customize their masks and change them to express like their family, some of their nicknames, the team, and just really cool, awesome logos and designs. And even this year, hockey masks or hockey helmets have started to put logos on, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. So the first thing I want to talk about, and I learned this from the Journal of the Canadian Chiropractic Association, and I quote, they say concussions occur at all skill and age levels in ice hockey and have been reported to account for 2 to 14% of all hockey injuries and 15 to 30% of all hockey head injuries. So concussions are a big deal in hockey. They happen a lot and they hurt. And it even says at all age limits, age levels. So your little peewee out there could get a nice good hit and just land smack that. This is ice, remember. If you fall on ice and you don't have anything protecting your head, I mean, we've all seen what a watermelon can happen to whenever you're riding a bike inside a bicycle helmet. I mean, that's from grade school. So we know the importance of helmets. So like I was going to tell you earlier, this is a fast sport. It's all about checking, all about hitting, getting possession. It's different from football. You get to have more breaks in football, and you're usually going after one guy. These guys are on the ice sometimes for 50 seconds or so. I mean, that's going to be a little heavy, but that's 50 seconds of just all out, going back and forth, trying to nail the person who has the puck. And there's not a whole lot of protection that these guys were wearing. Nowadays it is common to wear leg pads, chest protection, arm protection, elbow protection, head protection. I've even seen them wearing socks that have protection on so they don't get sliced by the blades. And that brings me to the point of these guys are actually carrying around razor blades on their feet. And I've seen some gruesome videos of people getting sliced up. I saw one goalie get his neck slit open. Blah, it was gross. And then, so it's fast. That's enough to say. It's fast and hard. It hits. And so these guys needed to start protecting themselves. And some of the early people are the ones that revolutionized it. So the first one that I actually found out about, it was a young lady actually can get my computer to work real quick. All right. So it was the Queen's University goaltender, and this is in 1927. So a long time ago. But hockey did start in the 1800s, but this is the first time I was able to count in Hockey USA magazine. They were allowed to, they showed me a good timeline of the evolution of the goaltender's mask. And so goalies are the ones that are constantly getting this 6-ounce vulcanized puck shot at their face. And nowadays they're getting shot really fast using composite sticks. They're able to whip these things at, sometimes I think they clocked one at 100 miles per hour once. Let's say most of the time it's 90 miles an hour, a good slap shot. So I don't think this was happening in 1927, but this young lady, she wore this. It was a fencing mask. It was the first time that they actually wore a mask, was a fencing mask, and she did it to protect her teeth. Now this is from all over the world. Like I said, this was in England. The next one that this was pretty interesting. It was actually a Japanese man, Taiji Honma, probably butchered that, but he wore a mask also to protect his glasses, because he's having to track these pucks on the ice, and if he can't see, contacts were not being used back in 1936 at the Olympics. So this man wore a mask to protect himself. But the goaltender that I found, I think, is the key person to change the status quo, and he's the one that I was talking about who really upset some folks, but he didn't care. This guy is playing a sport, and he's not doing it for anything other than he loves it, but the fans aren't the ones that are out there getting sliced up and hit. I saw a picture of his name is Jacques Plante. He played on the Montreal Canadiens, and in 1959, after taking a stray shot to the face and messing up his eye really bad, getting it stitched up, he came out with a fiberglass mask that he was actually using in practice, but he wasn't allowed to use it in a game. And he came out and he was going to wear this, and the coach was like, "You can't wear that." Well, he's like, "Well, there's no backup goalie. If you want to keep playing, you better let me wear this." Proceeded to wear the mask, and they actually won the game, 3-1. Fans thought he was a coward. People all over the news saying it was a terrible decision, but Jacques Plante continued to wear that mask, and I want to say the fiberglass mask started to revolutionize, and that's where we go into the next evolution of this head protection and face protection for hockey players. Jacques Plante wasn't the first to paint his mask, but he was the first one to wear the fiberglass mask, and it's evolved over the years, and it actually became a canvas, an open canvas. And I'll tell you about the next gentleman. Oh, shoot. Gary Cheevers in 1970. This is a cool story. Jerry Cheevers was wearing a goalie mask, but he decided to do something a little unique. Every time he took a hit to the face, he would grab his trainer and tell his trainer, "Hey, I want you to paint a stitch." So by the end of this season, Jerry had a face mask with just covered in stitches, looking like a Halloween mask. But it just came to show that these guys were getting hit in the face by pucks all the time, and it was a dangerous sport. And that painted on stitch could have been a real stitch that this man needed to have. And so the trend started to grow. People loved the idea of representing your team. They started off with just like team paintings, like the team colors, the logos here and there. But it's really fascinating to see that they started to add in a little bit of their own uniqueness, like nicknames, some really cool artwork, showing like metal underneath the skin, protecting, running off of hockey juice. I don't know, but all these hockey masks now are unique. They have much more protection inside the helmet. They're padded. It's going to protect their noggin from the concussions, these players running into the goal, as well as now they're showing a little bit of flair. They're like I said, they're nickname Dallas Stars. I'm a Dallas Stars fan. Their goaltender Anton Hudobin has a nickname of Dobby, the house elf from Harry Potter. Well, he uses the uniqueness to put the Dallas Star D, and he has Dobby across his right here. So everybody knows who he is. You know when Anton Hudobin is out on the ice, and then the rest of the mask has the house elf in it. It's just really cool. So over the years, we've seen that hockey is hard. It hits fast, and concussions are dangerous, and we're trying to rid them. Hopefully, over the next years, we'll get more technology, more studies, and we won't have to deal with these injuries as much. And also, you know, we got to see how many people revolutionized the sport, said, hey, I'm going to do something that's not normal. I'm going to change up the game, and I'm going to put on a mask or a helmet that is going to protect my head, and whether you like it or not, and it made it into the rules. You got to wear protective gear. The one thing I don't like is they are now starting to advertise on helmets. Hopefully we don't get to the stage that the European League is in, having logos all over their sweaters. I don't want that. But then the last thing we did get to see was every year these masks are going to come out with something new. It's going to shock us. It's going to impress us. It's going to cater to our hearts. It's going to cater to what we're feeling. And we love our hockey players for being protected out there. So, you know, NHL level, they don't have to wear a full cage, a full mask. But if I go out there, I'm going to be wearing a full cage, full mask, because I'm scared of a 6-ounce puck flying at me at 100 miles an hour, no matter where I'm at. And I'm also clumsy on skates, so more than likely I'm either going to fall on my butt or I'm going to hit my head. So with that, thank you guys very much for listening to my informative speech about hockey helmets and the evolution of it. And hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll get better helmets. And thank you.